What does the Taliban get out of this peace deal? Do they get a seat at the table without having to contest anything?
Well, the Taliban are, idealistically, they're after an Islamic emirate, and that's what they have been saying. But today, Sirajuddin Haqqani, he was saying, well, we want to build our country, we would like to have an inclusive government, and we would like all the foreign troops out. So I think this deal for the Taliban, first of all, they're after a worldwide reputation. They want to gain the reputation that they were toppled out in 2001. And they're not fork of Colombia. They had a government for 5 years. So that for the Taliban, this is a big movement, this is a big state. If they keep their actions and their promises in reduction of violence that the US and the Taliban are working right now, 7 days of ceasefire, I think it gives so much legitimacy to the Taliban, to their purpose, their mission, and eventually the 60,000 Taliban joining the Afghan government with the reintegration, rehabilitation, and they could have some sort of power sharing. But one thing that frightens me, the Taliban haven't, until this point, they haven't announced their stand on human rights, women's rights. Today they were saying, well, we would like to offer some sort of protection for the Afghan woman and the Islamic system. Well, to Afghans, what kind of Islamic system they have been using it for their political objectives? Stoning women to death and things like that have been a big challenge. I was in Afghanistan, and a lot of women have been worried about this. They do not want to lose the gains of the past 18 years. So for Taliban, reduction of violence is a best opportunity to prove that you're willing to negotiate. You're willing to bring peace in Afghanistan.
This comes, as the ambassador says, at a very crucial time. It creates a lot of uncertainty in the country. But what were the options for the election commission? Should they have had maybe a runoff election to decide on who the leader would be?
It's Afghanistan. It's an unpredictable country, and you do not understand what's going to happen the next day. The same thing happened during the Mujahideen, the Taliban, and present now. Given the base option, it would have been with the opposition or working on an interim government where you should bring the Taliban form and advance political settlements. I think elections, President Karzai, when I interviewed him 2 years ago, he said that we are not ready to have an election. The government is not as strong, we do not have territory, the Taliban are stronger, so we need to work on peace. We need to make sure we have some sort of guarantees so we could be able to move forward.
Would it have been better for these negotiations, the peace negotiations, to have taken place first and then got the Taliban to contest the elections as well?
I think that would be the perfect thing because the Taliban today, in a letter, Sirajuddin Haqqani, the deputy leader for the Taliban, he wrote to New York Times that it says we want an inclusive Afghan government. So they want to have a power sharing. So power sharing in Afghanistan, in a country built on tribalism, a lot of tribes, 14, 15. General Dostum, Hikmatyar, Abdullah, and we have Muhaqiq Khalili. So we have a lot of these political leaders that needs to be involved. So the current administration in Afghanistan is following the fork of Colombia kind of style. Like, well, the rebels come join us. We will give you, we will do some sort of reintegration, and at the same time, we will not put you in prison. So that is not going to work in Afghanistan. I think it would be best if there was a system in advance already where the Taliban has Afghans and then go on election.
Ahmed, as Syed Khan just told us a moment ago, regional powers have to be involved in this as well. The Afghan Taliban's main patron is Pakistan. What role did Pakistan play in this?
Well, first I want to add on what Mr. Ambassador said. Well, the U.S. have been, since 2001, one policy is rebuild Afghanistan. That's the mission of the United States, bring democracy, and the whole goal was to have the Afghan government be strong enough to work with rivals and the Taliban and build Afghanistan. Well, that didn't happen. This is the chance that this is what the U.S. is doing, and special envoy haven't bypassed anything. It's just a U.S. deal, and that's what's happening. I think the role of regional actors in the Afghan peace process is very, very crucial and significant. Afghanistan is a strategic location, and the Pakistan have been in the last 2 years, since June of 2018, have been more supportive of the Afghan peace process, whether it has been the U.S. pressure and sanctions, economic sanctions, or the Pakistan just feel like, well, let's help our neighbor to bring peace there. And it has been also the U.S. decision that the Afghan government wasn't able, the national unity government wasn't able to create a form of government with rivals to take the lead in the peace. That was the second thing. And the third thing was the President Trump's election campaign of 2014, that we would like to bring our endless war and finish that. I think Pakistan plays a big role. And Pakistan could really push the Taliban leadership living in Quetta and Shura, and even in Doha, Qatar, and just push them to negotiate. I think in Doha, in the last couple of 9 rounds of talks, Pakistan have played a big role in this. And giving the Taliban birthplace, Pakistan, a lot of confidence needs to also be built between Afghanistan and the Pakistan government. There's a lot of hatred, there's a lot of mistrust and gap. That's one key. China, a lot of economic advancement in Afghanistan. Iran is going to be a big a challenge, a barrier to the peace process, given the latest tensions.
Right.
And Russia, I think all these countries could play a big role in Afghan peace process. But one thing I would like to add on is it's very complex. Afghanistan is not an easy fix. I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I see a route to peace really long. But that requires the Afghans itself, a unity, national compromise. The current election, what's happening, I think that needs to be the first agenda in order to have a sustainable peace. There is not that much the United States could do to bring peace. U.S. is trying to bring the 18 years of U.S. longest war in Afghanistan to an end. But prosperity, peace, path to peace is the Afghans themselves.